The Zorro Dice Game stuck on my shelf because my son really enjoyed playing it, so needless to say, I'm really excited to see if the Zorro Dice Game Stunts and Allies expansion, currently on Kickstarter right now, bumps up the heat. I think that's like, that gets people excited, right? Let's talk about it.
What does that even mean, Bauer's Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review and a special Kickstarter review. And today I'm very excited to check out the Zorro Dice Game Stunts and Allies expansion from Pull the Pin Games. This is for 1 to 8 players. It'll take you about 15 to 30 minutes to play, and it's for ages 13 plus. Ignore that. I play it with my kid, who's 9 years old, and he absolutely adores this game. And this is the original game. I gave this an 8. I thought it was a great family weight game. It's a dice chucker with a little bit of decisions here and there. It's a fun little game. They have a solo expansion that also brings it up to 8 players, and now they have another expansion called Stunts and Allies, which is currently on Kickstarter right now, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So I'm going to be going over what's new in the game, and then giving you my review of it and the end. So the big star of the show here, I'll get to last, but first we'll get through the simple stuff. There's 4 more villains. There's 4 more scoundrels, and these are just going to add more variability to the game. If you're familiar with the game, you're only going to be using, one of these yellow scoundrel cards. So it makes it so each game is a little bit more variable. And so as a fan of the game, it's something you want to see. Next, you're going to see some more equipment card, and I will say that now with the more expansion content they've added, they've been allowed to use some more interesting cards down here, and that's one of the complaints that I had with the original game, was I thought it was a great family weight game, but as a gamer, I wasn't going to get it out to game night that often because it was a little too light, too simple, so they're adding some more complexity. It's still not, where I personally would want it to be, but I don't think this game ever will be. I think it's designed to be a 15 to 30 minute game where you turn your brain off a little bit, so I understand that, but more equipment cards and more premium equipment cards, they're great. You want to know that. But the star of the show here is obviously, the name of the game is Allies, and the Allies is the big new system. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to get one of these allies right here. And each of these allies is its own unique character, and they're going to have their own unique special abilities, and they're also going to have a deficiency. So this will come into play when you battle some big monsters. Essentially, you're going to have to roll 1 extra die to get it. So normally you'd have to get 4 greens, but now you have to get 4 greens and a blue. But the special abilities on here are completely varied and completely different. So let's take a look at a couple of them and give you a feel for them. So this one actually has 2 special abilities. So as you progress up here, and I'll talk about that in a second, you're going to unlock them. So you may hold 1 extra common equipment. That's actually pretty good. You may hold 1 extra common equipment. So you're going to be holding a whole bunch of equipment with Felipe. Apparently he's good at carrying things. The Black Whip, and she will unlock this when she gets to level 5. When you fail against a villain, fight them a second time. Wow, that is really stinking useful right there. But you can see each one of them is their own unique special ability. Now, this is kind of like a little bit of a catch-up mechanism, because the other thing that's introduced with the allies are these stunt tokens right here. And these stunt tokens you will get every time you level up your ally, and you only level up your ally by failing on one of your missions or against a bad guy, except for one other unique element, which I'll talk about in a second. But you're generally, most of the time when you level this up, I shouldn't say most of the time, but some of the time, it's when you're failing. Now, the other time you're going to level this up is with these little tokens right here. Now, once again, these are prototype components right here, but this is an interesting aspect of the game that actually solo gamers don't get. They get the shaft a little bit, but I'll save that for the pros and the cons. These right here, you have 1 to keep track of your level, because as we said, you're climbing up here on this level track right here. But the other one, you actually set out on the Heroic Feats around the board, which makes tons of sense if you've played the original game. But if you haven't, well, then I'd recommend going and watching a video about that, because I'm just kind of talking about the components here and then the review of it. But yeah. So those are really cool, because how you set that out is you set it out at the end of your turn, and if someone goes and does that feat and succeeds, then you get to level up as well. And that becomes like a little bit of a, ooh, I know that he really wants to go for green because he's close to getting the green die. So if I set this here, at least if he does get to green, I'll still benefit because I'll level up, I'll get that stunt token, and I'll get closer to my special ability. I'll also get closer to the top, because if you can get all the way to the tippy top, you will unlock an extra die that you'll get to use. And once again, I can't show you the die. They gave me these dice, but they're supposed to be like these really fancy white marble dice, which has my son very, very excited. But those are the new things that are in the game. So let's talk about the reviews. Let's go over the pros. Let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. The first one I want to mention is that if you're into the heavier part, if you play medium and heavyweight games primarily, with some smatterings of some lighter weight stuff like the King of Tokyo, stuff like that, I don't know if this one's going to be for you, because it still is a relatively straightforward game. I think it's still a good one. I think it's a solid one. I don't think most people are going to hate it. It's just, I know when I busted it out on game nights before, it's been like, yeah, that was okay, but it's been like, all right, let's play something a little bit more meat now. And this, I don't feel like was aimed at that market. It was aimed more at the family market, which we'll talk way more about in the pros, not so much in the cons. Another con that I have with this is, in the solo version, it strips away the really cool aspect of trying to pick where you're going to place your little pawn, your little green thing to help level up your character, your ally. And I wish there was some sort of workaround for that. Instead, it's just whenever you fail, you got to move them up. And it works. It's okay. It's just, you lose a fun little element of the game playing it solo that you get playing it multiplayer, which is a little bit of a bummer. Any other cons that I have with this? No, nothing from the original that I would say is different. Because moving on to the pros, my son still loves this. So I was originally an 8. I'm going to bump it up to an 8.1. I think expansion is a no-brainer. If you like the original Zorro Dice game, I think you're going to like this expansion. It adds an extra layer of fun and an extra layer of just having a different special ability every single time. Because like I said, there's a good chunk of these allies right here. I think you're getting like 11, 12, maybe there's more with Kickstarter stuff. Who knows? Maybe it's not 11, 12. It's more like 8, 9, 10. It's a good chunk of them, though. And each one has their own unique special abilities. I like that an awful lot. My son thought it was really cool, and he started telling me about all the different ones. And if you have kids, you know exactly what that is. He's like, oh, this guy gets to do this thing, and oh, she's so cool, because if we get to level 5, guess what? I wouldn't be freaking out in level 4 if I got to the thing, because they're special, and if you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about with that. But he was really carried away with this. We played it like 3 times since then. He's a big fan of it, and if he's a big fan of it, I'm a big fan of it, and there's a reason they've kept the original, because I don't play it on game night. I don't think I'll ever probably play it on game night, but as a family weight game, Zorro Dice Game does not disappoint. It's easy to learn. It's easy to teach. It does not say it's welcome. And the added layers of complexity are easy to understand. And they make it so there's not a runaway leader problem. Because it's kind of a catch-up mechanism there. Because the more you fail, the better you get. And in the end, the Zorro Dice Game expansion, Stunts and Allies, I can recommend if you enjoy the original Zorro Dice Game. So there you go. That is the Zorro Dice Game, Stunts and Allies. It's not going to change your opinion on the original base game, I don't think, but it makes it a little bit better. And what more could you possibly ask for an expansion? So if you enjoy what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If this looks like it might be your cup of tea, be sure to check out that Kickstarter link down below. Also consider supporting the Patreon down below as a currently stay-at-home dad. And in the comments below, let me know. Name an old TV show, 40 plus years old, turn it into a dice game. What dice game do you want to see? Let me know in the comments below. For me personally, I'm thinking, what do I want? I want a Saturday night live dice game where you have to, but I want it to be like a really meaty, chunky, roll and write game where you got to like plan out skits and I don't know. This is weird. I'll let Daryl Andrews do it. But let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.